Hello, I'm Michael Bitar, and this is Cracking the Code. I am pumped today. I've got Aaron Nosbisch in the studio. You've done a ton of interviews, podcasts, talked about your businesses and your career success, but not in the studio very often, so welcome.
Thank you, man. I'm super excited to be here. I think this is really, really fun. Yeah, we typically do it on a lot of virtual conferencing, video calls, and not too many in the studio, so it's a nice change of pace.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm really excited. So Aaron's got an amazing background. I know you've told the story a lot. I'm going to have you tell it again. But Aaron not only is leading this beautiful company here, Brēz, as the founder, but you've done some really cool things leading up to this. So share a little bit of your backstory.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been in business for a while. So I'm a young guy. I'm only 31 today, but I started in business when I was 13. So I had a t-shirt company on Big Cartel and MySpace back in the day, and I would do these graphic designs in Photoshop. And then my dad gave me $500 to order some shirts, and then I started selling them on the internet. So I learned how internet commerce works and internet marketing works at a very young age. And then I compounded that to one of my first real successes, where I cut my teeth with a company called Monk. It was a portable aromatherapy diffuser. It scaled into one of the fastest growing wellness brands in the space in a very quick order. And then I started a CBD brand in 2018 with the Farm Bill. That was one of the first CBD brands. And when I tried to advertise it, I kept getting into roadblocks. The meta platforms, the social media platforms said, hey, you can't do it this way, you can't do it this way. And I had been reading the policies, and I knew that you could actually do what I was trying to do, but they weren't allowing it. So I decided, man, whoever figures out how to advertise hemp products or CBD products was going to be very successful, because it's very challenging, and that it's an important problem to solve, and that it would help a lot of people. So I got really focused on that, and I started an advertising agency dedicated to advertising hemp and cannabis, and it did really well. We figured it out and scaled up really quickly, and that company is called Lucid, and Lucid became the largest cannabis social advertising firm in the country. So that was cool.
And currently still is, correct?
Still is, yeah. We advertise for about 60, 70 of the top brands and run about 80% of all cannabis ads on social, which is crazy. My partner, Avin, he's now the CEO and runs that company. And then at the end of my tenure as CEO of Lucid, I saw these new wave of drinks. I saw people were starting to put THC in drinks, and they were using hemp-derived compounds. And I had tried one, and I remember when I first drank this drink, I was like, wow, like this is what it's supposed to be like. Most specifically, because I used to drink a lot of alcohol. And then, the trouble with alcohol is it's a ton of fun.
Yeah. Dang it.
It really is. It really is. So I had, some of the best times of my life were drinking with my family and friends, and I loved it. But it was so consequential. The next day I felt terrible. I woke up with hangovers and regrets. I wondered what I said and if I meant it, these things, and it felt wrong. And I wondered, why can't there be a drink that helps you feel better but doesn't make you feel worse later? Why isn't there something that allows you to connect and celebrate and vibe and enjoy people, get a sense of relief, without costing you the next day or your relationships? And so I started working on a beverage, and I found some really, really smart people around that came together, and we built this beverage, and that beverage was Brēz. And rest is kind of history, although a short history, but it's just blown up since then.
Yeah, no, a short history, but a very successful one. Amazing that you started at 13 years old. I think that's incredible, man. So it's just who you are. It's part of your DNA. But Brēz, short history, 28 million year one. Is that right?
That's right. Well, so we launched it on 4/20 of 23, which is kind of like homage to 4/20,
Absolutely.
And so we launched it then. We did it via e-commerce, because I had all this experience with e-commerce, and I had really no experience with beverage. I just built the company to be successful on e-com. I didn't know how challenging beverage really was, and how expensive it is to ship liquid, which I figured out quickly. But it was a different approach. And I think if I knew the rules of beverage, I probably would not have done that. So it was a good thing I didn't, because it really allowed us to kind of come out with a unique strategy, playing to our hand, and that allowed us to scale really quickly. So we launched on 4/20, 23. In our first 8 months of business, we did about 1.25 million. And then 2024 was our first full year of business, and we did about 28.9 million, something like that.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, it's even crazier. In the first quarter of 25, we did 12 million. So on pace for something like 50 plus.
That's outstanding. That's outstanding. Beverage is tough. It's a tough space. And so a lot of reasons to talk to you. You've had great success. You've got a super hot brand on the market right now. when you and I were talking the other day, there are a few things that you said that I just was really blown away by. And we get the opportunity to talk to all sizes of businesses throughout the course of a day based on what we do. But for the early stage startup companies, they're really struggling with, how do I do this? Do I bootstrap it? Do I go get early investment? And you shared with me a little bit about your approach on this. Do you mind sharing that with everybody?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, before I started Brēz and before I started Lucid, I actually tried my hand at several different direct-to-consumer and wellness products. And, they were great products and great brand, but I didn't actually have any money to go with it. I was hoping that I would just be able to figure out with a small amount of capital, like I'm talking less than 10,000, less than 20,000, just to kickstart it. And I just kept running into the wall. It wasn't enough money to pay myself. It wasn't enough money to pay the people. And so it was a quick lesson that you do need to have some level of capital going before. So Lucid, being the advertising agency and being a service-based industry, it's more profitable. So it gave me some cash. So I had a little bit more cash, and I knew when I started Brēz, I wanted to have enough that we could get the job done, but not too much where we were selling our soul to other people to start this project. So going into Brēz, we had maybe 100,000 initially invested. And then I called just the smartest and the wisest people I knew. I called my partner, Nick, and I asked him to give me a little bit of capital as well, and to post on social and to really apply his leadership and his marketing value. And I brought in Oven, who's my CEO and partner at Lucid. And I had a friend, Preston Campbell, who's a doctor or PhD in pharmacology that I worked with at Monk. So he came on, and I met Travis at a psychedelic and cannabis convention where Travis is really kind of our head product guy. So he's really innovative when it comes to different ingredients and creating these different effect-based products. And then he works with Preston to really dial those in to be both efficacious and safe. And so I found all these kind of smart people. So I had about 150 grand. I found all these smart people, and I made all these people partners. I traded them equity in exchange for sweat, which is a sticky thing that I've tried to do in the past, and I've done it wrong. And learned my lessons, and I've kind of learned how to do it right since then. And so I brought these guys in, and we just got to business.
If you're comfortable, what does do it right mean? What did you learn, and what does do it right mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's a few things. One is equity in exchange for the value that they're actually going to bring. It's like getting true clarity on what it is that these people are going to be doing and what it is and what that's worth to the business. I think that's first and foremost. Clarity is king, and the lack of clarity can be demise. So getting very focused on what they specifically were going to do was the first step. Second step was making sure that these are people that I feel really good about working with, that I've known for a long time, that I've had working experiences with in the past, or was just obvious that their character was a fit for this project. So that was probably the second one. Third is organizing deals that work for everyone. It's when I first started, I would just issue equity with new partners and give them the full vested equity. In these new equations and these new partnerships, I would instead make vested equity terms. So it's okay, you're going to be a partner in Brēz. It's going to be over 36 months or 48 months. It'll vest monthly, and we'll both have the option to leave whenever we want if we're not feeling the value is a fit. But if it is a fit, then we'll be long-term partners. And so I got very clear and very upfront with all these guys and had a real sense of alignment before we ever started working together. And I think that bred a really nice zone for a beautiful culture to develop.
Oh, good for you. Really smart move. Look, a lot of entrepreneurially minded people that found businesses and start businesses, they're fired up and they've got a plan in their head. And when it doesn't work the first time, they're like, it was some other circumstances. Totally. They don't own that learning that happens and then make the appropriate pivot. So good for you. Right. Congrats.
You're so right. Well, and it becomes a blame game. It becomes it's your fault. You're just so passionate about just starting that you kind of lose sight of winning and finishing. It's you have to keep the end in the mind from the beginning. You have to know that this is going to work out for everyone, and that there's clarity and fail-safes in place to ensure it.
No, that's great. That's great. The other thing we chatted about that I was pretty fired up to hear some of your philosophies and approaches on it. You've built 2 organizations now, both 50 people plus-ish.
Yeah, give or take.
So you've built them to a nice level, but you've also managed not overgrowing in terms of the headcount of people, which then really can make your P&L not look
Totally.
the way that you want it to. But you've got some real philosophies on how to build, or how you built and how to build organizations. and I'll say this poorly, so I'd love for you to tell us what you've done and what your approach is. But when you articulated to me, it was a blend of culture and people, which are two big topics. But walk us through how you've done that and what your approach is.
Yeah. So first off, I mean, we live in the internet age. We live in the AI revolution. Things are becoming faster, more automated, and people can be much more resourceful. It might take 10 people what it takes 2 people to accomplish today. So first and foremost, like it's a deep philosophy of being resourceful and being adaptable, like being able to solve problems no matter what it is by leveraging the available resources of the internet, of modern technology, et cetera. So we start there. You know, and then from there, it's when I'm looking for cultural fit next. And how I think about cultural fit, first off, I want them to love the product. Like, yeah, I want them to drink it, I want them to experience it, and do they get it? You know, do they understand what we're doing? And you know, we say we have a mission at Brēz to reduce human suffering and maximize human potential, which sounds lofty, but you know, the idea is when you give people an alternative to alcohol, especially people who are in the pits of alcohol dependence or use, it's a pretty challenging thing. So we wanted to first give them an alternative that was actually going to give them the sense of relief. And that alone, the swap from alcohol, something that is technically poisonous, it's technically a toxin, to a drink that's not. That's, you know, a lot of water. It's lemon. It's refreshing. It's cannabinoid, which your body naturally regulates. You reduce a lot of suffering just from that alone by just taking the thorn out of the lion's foot, by taking away the problem there. So you know, and then when you give them that space, when you give them this new solution, they have the opportunity to live into their fullest potential. So that's kind of the philosophy. So I really want them to understand that philosophy and hone in on it directly. I want them to, you know, it helps if they've had experiences in their life where they've seen people with alcohol dependence, or they've seen people that have had abusive relationships. It resonates with it, exactly. So that's 2. So, you know, being resourceful, knowing, like, understanding the vision, understanding the product, how it works, how it feels, and enjoying it, and wanting to use and wanting to participate. And then the third thing I do is I don't really focus on trying to have exactly the right titles or the right perfect organization compared to XYZ person. Okay. I'm really thinking about how can I create a skill stack across a lot of different people. You know, so it's less about whether this person is old or young or has done this before or done this before, but like, what are their unique skills, and do they pair well but differently than other people? It's always not even so much about like, is this someone you would hang out at a barbecue, but more so, is this someone you would respect because they're different and more able and refined in areas that you aren't. And I think we've found a good way of doing that. It's like when you align people on the vision and the culture and the purpose, and then you stack the skills where everyone has kind of their own advances, their own specialties. You get this energy of collective mission and unique skill sets to get there. And you know, that doesn't always mean it's necessarily the person that you'd love to spend every weekend with. But it's definitely the person that you want to cross the desert with, you know, and because you can trust them that they're going to bring their own resources and their own value, and they're going to be radically self-reliant and resourceful and abundant to support the mission. And so that's how I think about it. It creates a little bit of a tension, but it also creates a sense of security and power that I think everyone on my team feels. No,
love the word tension. You and I talked about that as well. I think we said structural tension. How do you create the right structural tension? And then taking everything you just said is to add these pieces that are complementary, not redundant, not, hey, this is my buddy, this is my friend, I love to hang out. If that's the case, or it becomes the case, great, but that's not the driver. And I think you also articulated a few kind of fundamental, almost good to great philosophies about figuring out the right seat on the bus. So
absolutely.
When you have, if you've got an example off the top of your head, we don't need to name names, but when you have someone that is doing or bringing all the qualities you just described, but you know they're on the bus, they're just not in the right seat. How do you make that determination as to what is the right seat?
Yeah, I think it's challenging unless you're clear up front. I think this is the key, I'd say. So, when someone comes to interview for Brēz, or we get to the point of like, hey, we think you're a good fit and we want to offer you a gig, before I even offer them the role, I let them know, like, I am on a mission to help you get what you want out of your life. If that is here at Brēz and that you see your career evolving and you want to work here long term, great. But if at any moment that's not what you want, or you want to do something else within the company that you see that feels more aligned with you, come to me, come to my team, like come to our COO, come to leadership and work with us. My goal isn't to use you. My goal is to empower you to become the best version of yourself. And I'm grateful for the time that you're contributing to Brēz. And if you want to do that long term, great. If you want to do that for a few months and move on to something else, great, call me. I know some guys and I can probably help you get placed. And I think that and I mean that, it's not like I'm just saying that, like I mean that. And I think when you recognize that humanity in someone else and you get this mutual respect and love and trust that I think is, it's not that it wasn't available in the past, I just don't think it was like the cultural norm. And I think that when people feel that trust and that empowerment, they feel free to do the best work of their life. And that's what I'm looking for. And what I'm offering in exchange is the best work of my life. It's like if we both put that together, while we both wanted to put that together, it would be beautiful. And at any moment, if we don't want to do that, let's talk about it. Let's work together to find how to move out of it.
Aaron, you have a really, it's a superpower of yours, and I haven't known you very long. We haven't had a lot of conversations, but the sincerity of of the topic you just put on the table, and where that really comes from. Again, I don't know you for very long, but man, you can feel that's just who you are, and you mean it. And you don't just mean it as a team member at Brēz, but I mean it, in terms of how, I'm willing to help and support you on your journey within our organization or outside of the organization when either party determines that that's the right path.
Totally.
So, credit to you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate
I think you're very welcome. I think that's just an innate skill that very few people have. Not everybody. Many of the people get the concept of what you just said, but they don't necessarily either own it or truly believe it. They just know that that's probably how they should behave. So credit to you.
Well, I think that really goes back to like a new way of thinking. And it's not just me. I've learned this from other really smart people, especially my partner Nick. He really taught me a lot about this. But I think it's a fundamental focus on giving, a fundamental focus on abundance. I think that Google did a study one time where they talked about there's kind of three types of people. There's takers, there's givers, and there's matchmakers. The takers always lose. When you're trying to take things from people and, hey, I'm gonna try to pay you poorly and I'm gonna get you to come in here and I'm gonna lock you in. It doesn't end up good for anyone. They always lose. The matchmakers, you kind of stay flat. It's like a tit for tat. Like, okay, I'll give you this, you give me that. And like, you can have relationships, but you stay pretty. But givers, when you become giving focused, when you become abundant minded, when you become focused on just helping others at your best of your ability and trusting that is the best way you can help yourself, if you can have enough trust and enough faith to make that leap, you find out it's the most generative thing you can do.
No, good for you. Good for you. We have something similar in our organization that we utilize when we're building relationships. Outside, looking at talent to potentially come in once the talent is in our organization, and then also in what we do every day from a recruiting perspective, talking to talent about their career journey, and we call it a scorecard.
Okay.
Personally, professionally, and financially, what's really important to that person and his or her family
really cool.
and their overall unit, and it allows our recruiters to really accomplish a lot of what you just talked about, but from a different angle, which is, we don't want to be a selling organization. We want to really foundationally understand the human being so then we can help him or her make the right career choices, whether that be with one of our client partners or whether that just be clarity for themselves to take out into the marketplace to find the right home for themselves. So totally. I really sincerely love what you're talking about. Take that and apply it to the tough topic of when it's time to separate or firing. I know you've got an approach with that as well.
Yeah, it's challenging. I also think it's really challenging for young entrepreneurs. I think that it's something that I think is not as familiar with me and my friends, I would say. It's like I think what happens with a lot of young entrepreneurs is they get so bought into the people, or they get so bought into the mission that they fire way too slow. And I don't know that I've heard some stats of there, but it's like it's 12 times more expensive to hire the wrong person than I don't know what exactly it was, but it's extremely expensive to have the wrong person on your team for too long. So I kind of apply the same mindset. It's like when they come into the company, I set a very clear reality, which is that I'm here to help you as best as I possibly can. I'm here to help you stack your skills, to rise to your fullest potential, and to apply that here. And if that ever becomes a point where you want to do that elsewhere, or if we ever feel like that's a point where that it might be a better elsewhere, then I want to help you do that. So how I go about it is, if we're finding a person on our team is maybe we put them on the bus, they're not in the right seat, and we can't really find a seat for them. We go through an exercise of clear of, hey, first off, we don't think you're in the right seat. Is there somewhere else that your value could really, so we start with solutions there. So we go through that process and see if we can find it. If we can find it, great. If we can't find it, then it's just a very clear conversation of like, you're amazing in this way and this way and this way. We don't know how to get that to apply exactly to a generative for the business aspect today. Do you? You know, and often we both kind of come to the conclusion that it's not, okay, so where would that be applied best? What kind of company? What kind of players? And do I already know those people? Do my friends already know those people? And often we do. And then I start making calls. I start trying to help them. I mean, it's different on a case-by-case basis, but the goal is to never surprise people with this type of information, never to shock anyone, always give them enough time to really find the right place for them, and to do our best to both direct them and orient them towards that. And I'm grateful to say that like it's gone fairly well most of the time. Challenging situation though, no matter who it is, and it's never fun to let someone go, but truly holding someone that's not in the right position is far more harmful to them than letting them go.
Could not agree more. And it's not a challenge just for younger, earlier in their life founders that are trying to figure this out. It's tough for everybody. Even if you've been around the block and you've had to execute those conversations dozens and dozens of times, it's still difficult. The key to what you said, in my opinion, is if it's surprise-free and collaborative, then it's constructive.
Agreed.
and respectful, and people just want to know that, okay, this person isn't just saying that they're going to help me, or they've got my back, or they have my best interest in mind, but I can tell through the actions that that's exactly what's going on.
Totally.
And there's a lot of mutual respect, and I think people get it for the most
so
part. So let's talk about this beautiful product and product line. Speak to it a bit, because I also think you have a new member of the family coming soon.
Yeah, a few actually. So we launched the first product, which was a shorter can of this one. So this is our 5 milligram can. We have a 2.5. It's about half the size. Then we launched the 5 on 7/10, which is another cannabis holiday, funny enough. And then we launched another drink called Flow. Flow has no THC in it, but it has cacao, which is where chocolate comes from. It's rich in a compound called theobromine, which, if you've ever heard chocolate makes you happy?
Yes.
So it's actually true. There's a compound in there.
Believe me, I partake, yes.
So we get the source of chocolate, cacao, we extract it and nano-emulsify it, and that's rich in that theobromine. So you get this mood boost effect from it. Yeah, it's kind of cool. Then we put lion's mane in there, which is the most studied cognitive enhancing mushroom in the market. It's good for clarity. It stimulates NGF, neural growth factor, so it actually helps build new brain cells. So we put that in there. L-theanine, which is the calming part of green tea. It's naturally occurring in green tea. It calms the body. And then black seed, which the Egyptians called the seed of life. People use it primarily for immunity and vitality. So we made this drink full of these adaptogens and these mushrooms and these compounds that are very therapeutic to the body, but that you actually feel. You get this calm, uplifting feeling. So that was our first 3. Man, we've launched a lot. In the last 4 months, we went from 3 SKUs to we'll be at 10 SKUs as of tomorrow. So
that's awesome.
So we had those 3. Then we launched a spirit, so 750 milliliters, so people could pour, mix, sip, etc. And then we made a portable shot version of the spirit, so you could put it in your pocket, pour it in your drink at the restaurant, however you want, so you have more flexibility with our drinks. Yeah. Especially while this new wave of drinks are coming, not every restaurant and bar has a THC beverage yet, or is carrying Brēz yet. So this allows for some portability. And then we're launching tomorrow. We have 4 new blends. So we have 2 new infused blends. One is an uplifting tonic that has THC, CBD, cordyceps, maca, and ginseng in it.
Okay.
And then we have a sleep one that's infused, or we call it a relaxing tonic. It's intended for sleep. That one's called Drift. That one has blue lotus in it, and reishi and passion flower. And then we have in the non-infused, so THC-free line, one called Elevate, which is guayusa, which is an Amazonian vine that is rich in natural caffeine. So we put that in there. It's really, really unique. And then that has maca and ginseng as well, and cordyceps, which is an energizing mushroom. And then we have a sleep drink in the THC-free line called Dream that has magnesium and tart cherry, which is rich in L-tryptophan. A lot of ingredients, but the point is there's thousands of really amazing ingredients that have been used throughout ancient history for therapeutic benefit. And we're just taking those compounds and applying modern technology to them to refine them, enhance them, make them consistent, safe. I was telling you earlier, we have a PhD in pharmacology, Preston, so he does a deep white paper of all the interactions of these compounds and the efficacious doses and the safety levels of them, and making sure that we're creating things that are generative for humanity. And the trust we have with that is like, it's kind of two things. It's like, one is, people enjoy alcohol because it makes them feel connected. It makes them feel better. It gives them a sense of relief. But, when people switch out of alcohol, they're not looking for alcohol minus the fun. They're looking for fun minus the alcohol.
Minus the consequences.
Exactly. So the goal was like, can we make these fun therapeutic drinks that are better for you, or maybe even therapeutic or nutritional to you, that also help you feel better? And can we make those effects pointed to different parts of your day to really allow you to have the ability to enhance any moment in a generative way. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's exciting. I think my core belief there is that I think the future of beverage is fundamentally effect driven. I actually kind of think that's how it is today. Just not everyone sees that, but I had a coffee earlier. It's like, coffee is like black bean water. It doesn't taste good when you learn to drink coffee initially. It's like, why is this so bitter and dark? But then you love that effect. It gives you that awakeness, the stimulation. It helps you be productive. And so our goal is to make really effective functional drinks that taste good. And I think that the future, I think people are going to be drinking all kinds of things that allow them different net benefits. And I think that we're going to do everything we can to lead that.
No, good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you, man. And functional beverage, has many, many, many meanings and connotations. Good luck with the new product launch. That's exciting.
Thank you.
Dream and Drift. I love those two.
Fun, right?
Love those two names. So let's wrap this up around the topic that we started with from a bootstrapping perspective. So if you would, just kind of again, just summarize advice to a company that is trying to bootstrap their business. What's your advice to them?
Yeah, first off, I would recommend it. I think that a lot of people think that they need other people to do things. I think we're all, as individuals, humans, we all have a very similar capacity. Steve Jobs has a quote. He says, when you realize that everything around you was created by someone just like you, it starts empowering you very quickly. And so first off is believe in yourself and find other people who believe in you. Find a great support group. So I think these are the essentials. Malcolm Gladwell talks about outliers. It's not that Aaron's special. It's that I have a lot of special people around me that make Aaron be more of an outlier. And so I think that have an amazing support system. I have a beautiful and fantastic wife that I've been married to for 11 years. Couldn't do any of this without her. And amazing partner stack, like I told you. So I'd say believe in yourself. Create a strong support network. Come up with some money before you start. Now, how do you do that? For me, I started an advertising agency, and that allowed me to build some cash and a little bit of wealth, and then I could use that to invest in my startup and really lean in more effectively. Find other smart people that you want to build with, and really get clear on the roles and the values that you're applying, and sometimes they can supply some cash as well. So I think that's kind of the thing: is believe in yourself, have a great support system. Start with some capital. Don't try to do it without any resources. You wouldn't go to the desert without any water or food. You'd bring some. So bring some. And find the people you want to do it with. Find who are your sidekicks. Who are your partners. Who's handling the bow and arrow, and who's handling the shield. Stack that group so that way you really get to a place where you feel confident that you're going to succeed. And then decide that the only option is success. It's like when you make that mental shift.
You've got to have that mindset.
You have to. This whole idea of mindset being key is not BS. It's true. I used to be so fearful of failure. Like, oh, what if it goes wrong? I don't know. What if I lose? And what, like, I'll lose all my money, or what if? And then I realized that the only way you lose is if you quit. As long as you're continuing to build, as long as you're continuing to iterate, as long as you're continuing to learn,
Right.
the only outcome is success. Like, so I believe that to the core of my being, and I find it manifests in reality around me.
No, you've clearly put all those things into action, man. You really have. And I'll add one. You've just got a contagious personality, man. It's good to sit here with you, and I appreciate you coming in. And,
I appreciate having me.
You dropped some great knowledge today, so I know everybody's going to enjoy picking up some good nuggets from you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Buddy.